Hey everybody, Jeff here for POD Insights. Today we're going to talk about how to use Google Trends to plan your design schedule out throughout the year. There are certain types of designs that sell a lot more around certain holidays or with different seasons, and we're going to use Google Trends to help us figure out when the best time of year is to gear up and create new designs for those specific niches. So if you're interested in being more proactive and increasing your seasonal sales, stick around. All right, before we get started, just a quick intro on me. My name is Jeff. I am an Etsy print-on-demand seller, and I've been doing this since August of 2020. Currently have over 1,100 sales and over $26,000 in total revenue. All right, before we jump into Google Trends, I do want to point out that there are a lot of other resources out there to help you plan out your year when it comes to the best times to create certain types of designs. Now, you may have designs that you've used in past years, and if they happen to be more like evergreen type designs that sell throughout the year, then that's great because you're going into certain times of year like the fourth quarter holiday shopping season with momentum on those listings, and that's great. But it never hurts to create some new listings around those times of year and use fresh graphics or new text-based designs that are currently popular to help boost your sales. There are a lot of other resources besides Google Trends. I do like using Google Trends to help me calendar things out, but if you're just looking for some general information about seasonal trends and things like that, Etsy itself is actually a pretty good source. They have a page here for sellers on seasonal tips that I will put a link to down in the description. And one of the more recent articles that they have posted was at the end of March, so very recent, just a couple weeks ago, about marketplace insights for spring and summer 2021 and some of the trends that they're seeing on the platform. Now, of course, when you read articles like this, you have to remember that Etsy is full of sellers that do actually make things by hand, and they're not all print-on-demand sellers. So not all of the trends or things that you'll find in articles like this are going to be relevant for us print-on-demand sellers, but you will occasionally see some trends that you can take advantage of. For example, if there are certain types of patterns that are popular or color schemes that are popular for apparel that you see in these articles, then you can definitely take advantage of that type of information. But the main thing I want to focus on today is how to use Google Trends to schedule out or calendar out your year when it comes to certain types of designs. If you start with sort of the general mindset of thinking about the big holidays or the big seasons, you can use some seed keywords on certain types of products that you normally sell, and then look for the past 5-year trend for when those products become most popular, and then figure out when the best time is to start adding to your listings for those types of designs. So let's use a couple of examples. It's currently April in 2021, and so we have a couple holidays coming up in the United States. Mother's Day is coming up for sure, and then Father's Day comes in June right after that. So what do we know is a hot selling product for gifts for Mother's Day, and then probably during the main holiday season in the fourth quarter as well? Well, mugs are always a super popular gift item. So I'm going to use a very generic search term of mom mug here on the Google Trends homepage. And it's going to default to the last 12 months, but I'm going to expand that up to the last 5 years. And you will start to see some major trends emerging here. It looks like every year we have 2 peaks of when mom mug becomes a super hot search term. And if we mouse over the timeline, it will reveal when those 2 peak times per year are. So the most recent one was December 13th to the 19th of 2020. The last one before that, which happens to be the highest peak on the chart, was April 26th to May 2nd of 2020. Prior to that, again, December of 19, May of 19. Are you seeing a pattern here? It's December, early December, and then late April, early May. And that coincides with, of course, Christmas shopping and Mother's Day shopping. So if you're interested in getting into niches for mom mugs, now, of course, I wouldn't just recommend creating a mug that says mom on it because there's 50,000 of those listings on Etsy already. But if you're interested in creating some listings for specific niches around the Mother's Day theme or just the mom theme to sell as gift items around Mother's Day and Christmas, this gives you a perfect roadmap to gauge when is the best time to have those listings out there. Now, one thing I want to point out, obviously, you don't want to be creating listings at the time that you expect the peak interest to be. You want to have them published and ready to go, hopefully make a couple of sales prior to the peak shopping season for these two particular holidays so that you can have good search ranking at the peak time of interest. So what you want to do is look at the date range that occurred just prior to the peak, and that's when you want to have your designs out there and ready, which basically means that at some point in between the peaks is when you need to be creating those listings. Now, you don't necessarily need to be creating a bunch of mom mug listings in August because there are definitely a couple of months to go before the interest for the fourth quarter picks back up. But for example, we start to see an increase in late November, and that seems to be pretty consistent with the last few years, that it's late November, early December where we're skyrocketing up to the peak for the holiday shopping season in the fourth quarter for mom mugs. So that means I want to have my listings probably getting published in the October timeframe and make a couple sales, hopefully between late October and early November, so that by the time we get to that late November where it really takes off, I've got good search ranking and I can make some very solid holiday sales. Now, you absolutely can also work on them in September. As you can see, there's search volume every month of the year for mom mugs. There may not be for the specific niche that you want to sell in for your specific design, but in general, these are popular gifts for moms' birthdays as well, so they can be evergreen types of niches as well, depending on how specific your niche is that you're going after. So this is an example. Let's do the exact same thing for dad mug, just to show you how the same trend looks. It's basically going to look exactly the same with 2 peaks per year, except they will be shifted a little differently in that the peak season for dad mug is going to have a late fourth quarter November-December peak, but instead of a May peak, it's going to have a June peak because Father's Day in the United States is in June. And so you're going to see the peaks happening in December, early December, and then also early June. But notice that for the Father's Day holiday, you are seeing increases in search volume even in late May. So you're always going to have some early shoppers and some late shoppers. So the same timeline applies for creating dad niche mugs to sell as gifts in your Etsy shop. Now, what I do with this information is I take this and I simply put it on my calendar. So you can either use a literal paper calendar on your wall. You can use an Outlook calendar, a Gmail calendar, whatever calendar you normally use for scheduling things and reminders for yourself. Just pick that date range for the year and throw a reminder on your calendar that, hey, this is the week, put it on the Sunday or the Monday of that week and say, this is the week that I want to start getting my dad themed mugs, or this is the week I want to do my research for whatever dad niches I can get into for this year's Father's Day holiday, and the same thing for Christmas. You don't need to spend a lot of your time creating dad themed mugs necessarily at the super low points. You can spend that time creating some other designs that might have a more relevant peak during those low points for these mom and dad mug themed designs. Of course, there's an endless number of things you can do research on. You can search for things that are more seasonal in nature rather than holiday based. For example, I'm going to search for beach t-shirt. And you'll see that this one is actually a little bit less specific with certain peaks, but there is definitely a trend going on here. There's always some search volume throughout the year, but you will notice that it's more like a wave and less of a peak. So the low points in the wave are basically when you would expect, as far as in the United States anyway, because of where we are geographically and not having a lot of great beach, holiday vacation time at United States beaches anyway, coming in late November and in December. So that's the low points, and the high points are going to be June and July in that time frame as far as in the US. Now, of course, that could be differently for your country, so make sure that you have a location appropriate for where you are doing most of your selling selected. If you're located in another country but you're selling in the US, then of course leave it as the US because that's where your customers are. All right, so that's it. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that you can take advantage of Google Trends to plan out your design schedule throughout the year for your seasonal designs and increase your sales for these types of items. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments, give me a like on the video to help the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to the POD Insights channel if you want to see more content like this. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.